Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I am back with a sketchbook painting, and it's my first time painting with a paintbrush since I left for my vacation, which feels like a really long time ago, but it's only been about 2 months. So I'm a little bit intimidated, but I'm hoping that this could help me break into the whole habit of painting again. I've gotten a little bit lazy, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, so today's painting will be an urbanscape piece, and I'm gonna dabble a little bit of the light and shadows. First, what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to sketch out the whole thing. So it's going to be a traffic light, a couple of windows at the back, a zebra crossing, and yeah, mainly just trying to play around with the shadows. So originally I thought this would be quite simple, but it turned out to be a little bit more technical than I expected it to be, and I think you'll see why later on. I hardly use a ruler, but I thought I wanted this to have nice clean lines, and then you can see the contrast of the shadows, which is where I'm trying to mark out where the shadows will be. So now the first part would be to map out the colors, so I know exactly what is what and what I can paint for the second layer. So for the walls, I'm using portrait tone mixed with a little bit of yellow ochre and a bit of Payne's grey and ivory white. I've recently started to appreciate the sketching process a lot more because I think it makes it easier to kind of plan your painting. So especially one that has a lot of light and shadows in it. So for this darker shade part, this is supposed to be where the shadows are, and I'm using violet grey mixed with just a little bit of portrait tone and Payne's grey. I used to think it was actually a lot easier if you just paint the whole background and then you paint over the background with all the things you want to add, and then you just keep adding paint on top of paint. But I find that the paint kind of loses its color when you go over layer by layer and layer, then it gets a bit clumpy as well. So this method is a lot more tedious, but I think that it also looks a bit more polished at the end of it. So in the middle here is where the light is shining upon, and then I'm just going to continue to join where the shadows are. So for this part, I'm using Payne's grey for the sides, and then for the windows, I'm going to use yellow ochre mixed with raw umber. So for the part of the window where the shadow is cast upon, then I mix a little bit of Payne's grey there as well. So for the traffic light on the top part, I'm using Mars black, and then I mix it with a little bit of brown because I feel like this has a bit of brownish highlights throughout the whole painting. So for the sides of the sidewalk here, the dark part, I use Van Dyck brown, and in the middle I use burnt sienna. So this yellow thing here is supposed to be the footpath for the blind, but it's a bit too detailed, so I wanted to keep it simple. But it's just gonna be like a yellow patch there, and then Payne's grey for the road. I leave the blank for the zebra crossing, which I will fill in much later. Mighty's green and scarlet red for the traffic light, which is my favorite highlight about this whole piece because everything is kind of earthy, but this too will kind of brighten up the whole piece much later. Okay, so for the second layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint over it properly. By properly, I mean like the first layer is just very thin layer, so it's uneven, unpolished. So the second layer, now that I kind of know that, okay, the shadows are going to be here, this is the color that I'm going to be using for this, then I'm going to use the same colors and I'm just going to paint over it. The colors might look a little bit different, but it's only because I'm using a more generous amount of paint to paint over it, so it's just a lot more opaque, and then you can see the contrast of it much better. But anyway, since the second part is pretty much just the same thing, I'm just kind of painting over it, so I didn't want to be too repetitive. So I'll end the voiceover here, and I'm gonna play some music. And I hope you like this painting, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching, and without further ado, let's begin.
Can't be said, I'm an early bird. It's 10 o'clock before I say a word. Baby, I can never tell. How do you sleep so well? You keep telling me to live right, to go to bed before the daylight, but then you wake up for the sunrise. You know you don't gotta pretend. Baby, now and then, don't you just wanna wake up dark as the lake, smelling like a bonfire, lost in the haze. If you're drunk on life, babe, I think it's great. But while in this world, I think I'll take my whiskey and leave my coffee black in my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me. You're too sweet for me. I take my whiskey and leave my coffee black in my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me. You're too sweet for me. Can't be said, I'm an early bird. It's 10 o'clock before I say a word. Baby, I can never tell. How do you sleep so well? You keep telling me to live right,